Hey, this is Audie Astu with B Sharp and C. Yes, I am in South Carolina. I'm in my new home. I'm in the Charleston area of South Carolina. And I just want to make videos. I just want to continue to get back into talking about music, analyzing videos, talking about the things I see, talking about the things I love. Music to me is absolutely magical. And I like to give complete and total honest analyses and reactions and reviews to the videos that I watch. And that is what I'm going to do here. This is Stick Figure, probably one of my favorite songs by him. It's the song World on Fire. It's live at Levitate from 2022, I think. And I want to do a, I'm losing my voice. I apologize for that. I don't have my microphone set up and I'm using the camera on my MacBook, so things are a little bit in flux still. I don't even know where my microphone stand is. That being said, listen to my new song, My Own Name, right there. Anyways, I really wanted to do a stick figure song live because I want to show the difference. And I have not heard this song yet live, but I know I've heard enough stick figure live to know that he's super loose when it comes to his live performances, but in the studio, super tight. He is a songwriter and a producer. Don't get me wrong, I think he loves performing live, but he really excels in the studio. My guess is that this live performance of World on Fire is going to be very different from the studio version and probably going to make people who fell in love with the studio version maybe think, hmm, I wish I was listening to the studio version. Maybe not, you know. I really don't know, but let's just give this a listen and see where it takes us. Because this is, by the way, Scott Woodruff is like my favorite songwriter. I think he's one of the best songwriters out there. I think he writes some of the best riffs. Um, his chord progressions are very simple, but he uses just the right chord tones and vocal melodies to kind of make all of his songs sound super beautiful and just kind of reach the heart. And World on Fire is one of them. Let's listen.
Let's try one more song.
Man, I love this keyboard riff.
If I had all the money in the world, I'd probably burn it all. But if I had all the riches in the world, I'd surely burn it all. One in a million, money gonna kill me. Why must we lose control? Blaze up a firestorm, the people getting higher from the smoke of an island's gold. Who set the world on fire? Who set the world on fire? Who set the world on fire? It was me, I set the world on fire.
Well, I love this keyboard riff right here. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So this is something that bothers me sometimes about videos. Like, I don't think that was in complete sync. Listen to the melody of the keyboard riff and then watch the keyboard player. Hey, who's playing that keyboard riff? This, who's playing this? It's not him. It's not him. How many keyboard players are there?
No, I'm not the one. Live a smile to save the world. No, I'm here you are. Blaze up the fire from the people getting higher from the smoke of an audience cold. And now maybe in another life we'll see him on the other side. The people I'm all singing about love. Who set the world on fire? Who set the world on fire? Who set the world on fire? It was me, I set the world on fire.
Show the keyboard player. Who's playing that? It's not him.
Let me take that we feeling. Control. And overrated. Money steals the soul. And only trouble it can bring. So loving as a whole. Only thing that conquers
Oh, he went down a whole
way.
octave.
So let it be told. Let the whole world be said.
So I'm focusing right now a little bit too much, maybe, on the keyboard player. I think Scott Woodruff is who's the guy with the guitar and the guy singing, who essentially is stick figure. You know, from Boston or from Massachusetts, but he moved out to California. I think he's just unparalleled when it comes to his ability in the studio and his ability as a songwriter. But I compare stick figure to like someone like Revolution, right? Whereas Revolution live is almost as tight or just as tight as they are in the studio. In fact, I've seen Revolution kind of change up some of their arrangements live and add saxophone solos and do all this stuff that I haven't seen Scott Woodruff do. Scott Woodruff, when he performs live, does not use auto tune, and I can tell you that right now because there are a plethora of notes that are just sharp and flat and everything else. Um, but I actually like that. I like the fact that um, what you see on stage is what you get. Now, I'm sure when he's engineering his songs for the studio, he might use a little pitch correction and stuff like that, which I think all good engineers do. And he is an engineer. And, you know, live, he doesn't use it. And you can tell that the timing is loose, you know, the timing is not perfect. The vocals are not perfect, but the vibe is absolutely otherworldly, you know. And that's what you get with Scott Woodruff, and I love that, and I love the fact that he goes out there and performs, and just says, "This is I am what you get. Like this is what you get," you know. And it's a great performance. You know, I don't know what's going on with the keyboard player. I can see him comping chords, and then at the same time he's comping and I can hear the riff on the keyboard. I don't know if he's triggering the riff with a looper or some type of machine with his feet, because I do see him doing a lot of stuff with his feet, you know, the keyboard player. I will say this, to be a real, and I'm not knocking anyone on the stage because they're able to bring this music to an audience live. But go on a cruise. Go on a Royal Caribbean cruise and watch the Caribbean band, which mostly is just going to be reggae. The keyboard player is comping the chords with his left hand, and then with his right hand, he'll also do the solos, right? And then when he's not soloing or doing the riff, then he just kind of comps with both hands. And then when it's time to do a riff, he just comps with his left hand and then plays the solo with his right hand. The amount of practice, dedication, and skill to be able to do that is off the charts. You have to practice 5 to 6 hours a day in order to comp all the chords with your left hand, which is just two and four, and then with your right hand, do a complete and total solo apart from what your left hand is doing. The timing is actually going to be different. It even though it's all within 4/4 timing, the timing is going to be different because you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dun, 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 dun. It takes a lot of practice to comp and solo. I didn't see the keyboard player actually playing the riff, so I don't know what they did. But I will say this: watch any great band out there. I mean, it could be The Who. I've seen The Who do it. I've seen Deep Purple do it, right? I mean, they only have three people, where they trigger things. Whether it's an engineer in the back or a musician up front triggers something with his foot, which you can do nowadays. But of course, you have to play to a click track if you do that. You know, if you're going to trigger, like, a lot of bands, like it's like symphonic metal. A good example would be Nightwish. They have a lot of symphonic sounds, but there's no symphony orchestra on the stage with them. And what they do is they have a track recorded that is triggered at the beginning of the song so that it just kind of plays with them. But they have to play to a click track because when that track comes into play, if they're just playing loosey goosey, it's going to come in at the wrong time. Here, you get that loosey goosey feel, but I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're playing with a click track. I don't know what's happening. But that keyboard player, not once has the cameraman shown him playing any of the actual keyboard lead work. He's doing all of the comping. That's all flat. All that singing right there was just flat. But Scott is like, I don't care. I don't care. This is what I'm not using auto tune. Keyboard player did something there. So you see, he takes the guitar off and starts singing, but his mouth was away from the microphone, so he didn't hear the first part of the sentence. Here is a guy who Scott Woodruff does everything. And now he's with the band and he's out there doing what he's doing. I'm telling you, man, this is like if you took a studio genius who's just amazing in the studio, like a really good songwriter and producer and engineer, and then said, go out there and perform live. Scott does it, and he does it beautifully, but he doesn't care about his image. He's just out there singing. People are coming to see him. I would go see him, although I will be honest, I did a lot of drugs back in the day. And I know what happens at these concerts, and I might not want to be exposed to a lot of what happens. Heck, I went to see Matchbox 20 and I almost got a secondhand high from all the pot smoke that was going on there.
Set the world on fire. It was me. I set the world on fire. Let me tell you, who set the world on fire? Who set the world on fire? It was me. I set the world on fire. Thank you guys so much out here. We are stick figure.
All right, what did that keyboard player do?
Set the world on fire. It was me. I set the world on fire. Thank you guys so much out here. We are stick figure.
He didn't do that.
Yo, who set the world on fire? Who set the world on fire? It was me. I set the world on fire. Everybody, who set the world on fire? Who set the world on fire? It was.
That looks so much fun. All right, so look, I take pride in doing an honest analysis. Scott Woodruff if I were to go to a stick figure concert, I would actually be glued to what's happening on the stage because you have Scott Woodruff, who's a complete and total genius. And in the studio, he knows how to come out with a very, very good, well written song, well arranged song, well engineered song with beautiful vocal melodies and beautiful instrumental melodies, whether it be mostly on the keyboard, right? But he has some guitar, I've heard some guitar riffs, but usually it's the keyboard riffs. And in reggae, whether it's traditional or newer reggae, white reggae, um, the keyboard riffs are actually a huge part of reggae, both traditional and the new age stuff. And I will say, I would be glued to watching how he's presenting the music, just because I know that what he does in the studio is unparalleled. It's really, really, really good. Take take well, Hans Zimmer is a good is a good let's take Hans Zimmer into consideration. In the studio, that dude does everything. He's just absolutely amazing. He programs synthesized sounds, he creates sounds. What he does for his movie scores is just, well, Hans Zimmer is Hans Zimmer. I just say his name and you already know. Interstellar and Inception, and of course all these other movies. Those are just like two famous ones that are very recent, but he does a lot of stuff. He's doing Dune, I think, too. You take Hans Zimmer, and he's performing live now. And I've gone and I've seen some of his live performances on YouTube, and it's like, because he's a studio master, you know? He's a studio master. And if you take studio masters, no matter who it is, and then say to them, now go perform live, their heart is in the creative process of the song. It's not necessarily in performing an impeccable, live performance, live song. And that's, in my opinion, that's what you get when you see Scott Woodruff, when you see Stick Figure out there perform. He's just having fun with the music that he wrote, and he's just doing what he can. Um, but part of me thinks that deep down inside, he wishes that he could just stay in the studio. Yeah, and this is, don't get me wrong, like I said, this is fun for him. But his creative genius is behind the glass. Playing the instruments, writing the music behind the glass, and that's what I've always thought about Stick Figure. And like I said, he's still like one of my favorite. If you had to say to me who are your three favorite songwriters, I probably would say Scott Woodruff first. Because he's the full package. David Gilmour is up there from Pink Floyd, but he doesn't always write his lyrics. Um, you know, um, and I feel like he gets a lot of help, or at least with some of the older albums, he got a really lot of help from Richard Wright and other people who were chiming in on where the song should go. And of course, Roger Waters, who wrote pretty much all the songs that made Pink Floyd as famous as Pink Floyd is. It's really because of Roger Waters' songwriting, not David Gilmour's songwriting. Um, but anyways, let me know what you think of this performance. Am I being unfair? I mean, I love. Am I being unfair? Or I think I'm just being honest. I think I'm sitting back saying, this is my favorite songwriter, one of my favorite engineers, and he's out there performing live because that's what fans want. But I don't actually think that's what he would prefer to do. Am I wrong? Let me know in the comment section. Thanks for listening. This is Artie Astor with B Sharp and C.